This episode of Let's Talk About Brand was initially broadcast as a live stream in 2020. It has been edited from its original format.
Hey everyone, I am Christine Gritman, and this is Let's Talk About Brand, where guess what we're going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about personal branding with two of my personal friends, Katie and Mario Marchese. Mario is better known as Mario the Maker Magician. He has been a magician for over 15 years now, and he really kind of breaks the mold. He doesn't do the whole like tuxedo and cape and top hat. He does have a top hat, but it's a little different, as we'll talk about. Mario has been called the greatest children's magician in the world by magician David Blaine, who he has also toured the world with. He has taught his own special brand of maker magic to Murray the Muppet on Sesame Street. What? He has also done a whole ton of live programming during this crazy Corona season with Make Magazine. He's done stuff with camp stores, but he's normally touring all over the place with his family and his co-adventurer, Katie Marchese. Katie has actually been on my show, my previous show, Social, twice, and she was the most watched episodes by far. Because Katie, in addition to being Mario's wife and keeping their personal life, going, she also is his manager, his co-adventurer, road trip buddy, and they've got their kids in on the action too. Hashtag it's a family business. I love these guys. They're fantastic. I'm so excited to have them on. Without any further ado, let's bring on our guest stars, Katie and Mario Marchese. Where's the bubbles, Mario? Whip out the bubbles.
Oh yeah, I got bubbles. Bubbles in the bubble.
Now it's funny because I was saying before we went live that Katie's been on my show twice, but it was always live and in person because you guys are right here in Nyack.
Yes.
You're right over there. But we are of course being safe, so we are in our respective homes right now. You are also in your wonderful attic studio. I'm going to show that for a second. Give people a better view.
Yeah, we've been trapped here for about, 6 months.
It's ridiculous. And I love that you're in your attic and we're in our attic and we're literally just a few blocks away, and this is awesome.
Hashtag Nyack Addicts.
I love it. So you are normally touring all over the place. When was the last time you were on tour this year?
So we came home from our last tour in March, 3 days before everything went down. So, And we saw it coming, like there was the new news trickling in. It was kind of like following us. We were out in California, drove all the way back to the East Coast. Our last gig was in Baltimore, came home, and literally 3 days later, our entire calendar was wiped. And
it was crazy. I mean, it was our greatest tour that we had. We were on the road for almost 3 months, and we even bought an Airstream on tour. Like we were,
perfect timing.
Yeah, exactly. So now we look at it in the driveway every morning.
Does it have a name?
Mario calls it the bacala, which if you have any Italian heritage or Italian friends, you might know what that is. It's like a cod dish.
I remember one of the names floating around for it was gnocchi.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I love that.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Gnocchi sounds a lot cuter than bacala to me, but I don't know.
We'll call it the bacala,
It's the bacala. I don't know.
But I love that. I love that you've got the Airstream. It's so it sounds weird, but it's so on brand that you'd be like with the Airstream, and you have the little blue bus, your Volkswagen bus that you restored yourself, right?
Yeah, that bus was in a car wreck. The whole front end was destroyed. We got it, at a good price, and I just we took our time, rebuilt it, 1.5 years, just putting all new interior and exterior paint and all that, and we drove it to Colorado on tour.
That is mind-blowing.
We broke down 5 times on tour, but it was the greatest tour we ever had. The adventures of just, that desperate panic on the side of a highway, getting the wrenches out, figuring out what the problem is. Actually, shout out to the Frischia brothers in Greenwich, Connecticut, because they helped us succeed with that tour. They would literally I would FaceTime the mechanics, and they would listen to the engine, and they would diagnose the problems on FaceTime.
That is amazing.
Yeah, the Preacher Brothers are amazing.
So awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. And Tim wants to know if you use magic to rebuild it.
That would have been a lot easier.
I wish,
Mario. I mean,
I
come
wish.
on.
But we had some maker magic. Let's say that. I had my maker tools, and we problem solved, and we got it working. Sometimes just like, it worked.
That brings me to the next point, which is you're not just a magician. You're a maker magician, and that goes also hand in hand with your whole vibe, your whole aesthetic. So some people, so first of all, the traditional image of like a children's magician. I just saw an insurance commercial the other day with someone who's clearly supposed to be the stereotype of the magician, and he had like the tux and the top hat and the cape that was like black with red lining, and that's not you. You have your own aesthetic, which is it's been described as kind of punk rock or steampunk. You've got a vaudevillian feel. It's very you. But I want to go way back to like over 15 years ago when you started out being a magician, being a working magician. Was there a time when you sort of like hid the tattoos and like, put on the tux, or were you always kind of like, here I am, a Mario?
Wow, that's a great question, Christine. I mean, honestly, I definitely hid my tattoos. I definitely wore the stereotypical outfit. Mm-hmm. It was just because when something's new, a new field that you go in, you're going to look at what everyone else is doing, and you play it as safe as possible to be accepted. And you try to and what happened was, it got me to a certain point where I was able to get work and doing okay, but then it plateaued pretty quickly because you're all of a sudden in the norm, and what's setting you apart, and but I call Katie the maker guru of our family. Yes. Because without her, she is like a flame of fire, always pushing me. She's like, what are you doing? Roll your sleeves up. Like, why are you wearing dress pants? You never wear dress pants since I've met you. And and it was these kind of pushes where and my show naturally became better as I took apart this uniform and where I'm most comfortable, where I'm most happy, and I think that's with any business. The more you're brutally honest with who you are, what your strengths and weaknesses are, the more people can relate to you.
Oh, I really like that, and that is very, very true. So in terms of how it changed your act, how you sort of stopped being in that little box of here's what people expect from a magician, how did it start to change your act, and how did they bleed into each other?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like I had two lives. I had a robot obsession, building robots and tinkering, and I had the traditional cookie cutter family magician thing that I do on the weekends. And it came from natural criticisms from my audience. They say the audience creates the performer. I would hear some criticism like, oh, that was Mario, he's just doing this and he's just doing that like everyone else. That kind of stuff organically pushed me. And once the robot started mixing, it was cool. Like it's a long road. I have a robot here. This is Marcel the monkey. He's the finale of my theater show. He's completely 3D printed, autonomous. He's in this 6 years now. Still the same monkey, just reprogrammed for the new generation of kids. What makes them laugh? What makes them interact? The goal of the show really is the goal of my life. It's just to stay curious, to be inspired, that kids can, it's accessibility, that they see my props. It looks homemade for a reason, And the more I stay true to that, the more we keep afloat on my end, And then Katie's the whole other monster of branding and colors and what is relevant and showcasing those things. And it's been really fun rocking that out.
I mean, we have literally figured it out from the ground up together and tried things. Some things didn't work, some things did, and when something works, you're like, okay, that's a direction you can move in, and then see how far you can push it. And what we've realized is you can really push it as far as you want. Like, there's not really a limit.
Katie, as you were saying, you and Mario have absolutely come up with all of this, the branding, the feel, the brand, all of that together. But this brings to the question of Mario's a real person, obviously, and so there's Mario the maker magician, who's the person on stage, and then there's the real person. And sort of how do you choose which elements to amplify as part of the brand, and which elements to maybe not?
Yeah, I mean, as far as what we present on social media, like we've chosen, obviously, a few threads to like allow people to follow. And, you know, everybody knows we're a family business. We definitely give glimpses into that, especially when we're traveling. But we're not going to show like the downside. We're not going to show the kids tantruming. We're not going to disrespect their personal space. Like, we're very, you know, like you have to be conscious of the fact that they are their own people too. So we love showing off the maker aspects of anything we do. When our kids do something awesome in the maker realm, yeah, we show that off. But and also, you know, we choose a few things, like the Airstream purchase was a big one that we shared with our viewership. The little blue bus we shared with our viewership. And then Mario, when he, you know, his building process, if we can give glimpses into that, that's always fun too. Like he was working during the pandemic, he did a whole build on a motor, like a street bike type thing. And although that has nothing to do with magic, it definitely fits into the whole narrative of being a maker in every aspect, you know? So we pick things that make sense and that fill in that persona for our viewers.
I absolutely love that. Someone from Toy Box Theater says, wait, there's a different Mario the Maker Magician?
Not really. Hey, Keith.
I love you, Toy Box.
Toy Box.
One of the best. Absolutely.
And Cindy says she loves it when she sees Gigi and Bear. I am also a big fan of Gigi and Bear. We're going to talk more about them in just a second. But go right ahead. You're saying.
I mean, Mario, like, that's the thing. He's the same person on stage and off. But, you know, it's like we elevate certain aspects that are going to be more interesting for people to see, you know. But that's, I think a lot of people are surprised by that, is that he's not a different character, you know. Like, you meet him, he's just as energized and exuberant as he is on stage.
I'm a little crazy, you know. That's how I am. Hardcore. But no, honestly, you know, people always comment about the energy level and all this stuff. And the truth is, it's when working with kids, the audience shapes the performer. Like I was saying earlier, like you have to adapt. You either sink or swim, you know, and especially when it comes to your audience base. So what happens is, you know, there's an exaggerated version of what works. And like, and you know, kids are honest. They tell you the truth.
So, oh, that's so true.
You know, that's what they say. They're easy to entertain. They're hard to fool, you know? And there's a lot of truth in all that. So what happens is, just like our branding, it's the same with the character. It's like you listen as much as you can to your audience, whether it is on Instagram, Facebook, whether you're doing a live virtual show, you know, you listen and you're sensitive to that, and you just constantly kind of be flexible with everything, you know?
I love that. So it's not just a feature of here's who I am and here's what I want to put out there. It's also a little bit of seeing what resonates.
Definitely. Yeah. Like with our virtual stream with Make Magazine, we like stumbled through, you know, just these half-hour live streams. And then what happened was we found a segment where we were interviewing kids, and all of a sudden we're getting big feedback. For some reason, me interviewing kids is working. So, like, we shifted everything where a big chunk of that live stream with Ecamm was our interviews with children, you know, and so it's constantly changing.
Yeah. And I think, like, the big thing to keep in mind is, like, as you're discovering your character, it's better to peel back the things that don't feel genuine to you and get to the truth, rather than trying on hats of other people or other characters that are not you. It's like peeling back to find who you really are. You know, that's what you have to do.
I absolutely love that. So now, how would you describe your brand as it currently stands? I mean, I know as an audience member who's also friends with you, like, I know how I would describe your brand, but I want to hear from you how you have defined it.
Okay, so Mario was on the cover of MUM magazine, which is an awesome magic industry magazine, and Chloe, who did the piece, the cover article, summed it up perfectly. I love her phrase. I know you used it in one of your tweets. She called him Magic's punk rock Peter Pan philosopher, and I love that. I think it's so perfect.
It really is, and the maker aesthetic is part of it. I mean, looking at your set right now we have full screen on you guys. And I would just, it's such an explosion of you, and I mean, I see There's art. There's very clearly handmade art. I see a vintage boxing glove back there, which goes to the old-timey.
Actually, a lot of the props you're looking at, some of them are from Bill Irwin's suitcase.
Oh, let's talk about Bill.
Yeah, he was Mr. Noodle on Sesame Street. He's one of the, most famous living clowns alive. But yeah, like, so I have this big magnet here. This is Bill Irwin's. I've been using it for my live streams. I have a robot table, motorized robot table. That is not Bill Irwin's. This is mine. But everything is different. Like all these props, we're utilizing everything we have. We're utilizing all kinds of silly gags. Like this thing. I don't know what this is.
But the goal is, and this is an overall goal with every, like our live show, our online show, it's always to give kids, like you don't have to make things super polished and you don't have to buy expensive materials to create art. Like we want to demonstrate that this is all like cardboard, paper, masking tape, duct tape, like it's accessibly, created, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Like just have fun with it.
And this is based on just what my strengths are as a person and as a maker. It's not, like I'm terrible. I am not a polished person. When I make things, they are naturally like a little off. So we're trying to heighten, like the strengths of what make us good and what makes us stand out. That's all.
I love that so much. And to that end, one of the things that you have done and that you have chosen to embrace as part of your brand, as it were, is you have made the choice to show more of your personal life, including your family, including your kids. And Katie, you spoke earlier about how you've also taken their comfort level into account and all of that. But I just want to hear a little bit about, how you draw that line of what from your personal life you do and don't share, how that has evolved, and also a little bit about, what you keep. Like, what do you not share, and how do you figure that out?
Yeah, for us, like right now, our kids are getting older. They're almost 6 and almost 9. Like they're definitely opinionated about what they want presented about themselves. They each have their own Instagram account now. So they actually kind of control what comes out as far as what they make, what they present. We have Ultimate Ninja Bear on Instagram and Maker Gigi, and they are both makers in their own right. So we've kind of given them those outlets to share. We monitor everything, but it's all what they want to share and the comments that they want to put out there. And it's been really cool watching them like gain their own little followers. A lot of other kids who are inspired by what they're doing. So we're kind of like letting go a little bit and letting them define themselves more as they get older. And then when we're traveling, our viewpoint has always been like we want to show all our cards. Like we're not going to pretend that we can show up at a theater and it's not going to be utter chaos with our kids running around. Like we want everyone to be prepared for what they're getting. This is the full family experience. We show up all together. It's part of our charm, and it's also, it's part of the crazy that we bring. But we've met so many other families this way who can relate in some way, whether they're traveling together or just now with the pandemic, like everyone gets the struggle of trying to work while having your kids with you 24/7. So it's just something that we find like those deeper connections with people because they're able to kind of grasp onto something that's tangible for them too.
I really, really like that. And that's something Marissa said during the chat. She said, I used to think I had to hide my casual, super nerdy attitude, but now when I get on calls, people love the wall of nerdiness band. She has a lot of pop figurines and stuff. She said, I found it attracts the people I'd rather work with anyway. Being yourself works. Have you had any issues when it comes to people either giving you crap for showing your children or even any like security issues, or has it been pretty chill?
It's been pretty good. I think like every once in a while people seem a little annoyed. Like you'll get that one like, stage manager or something who like rolls their eyes a little bit. But you have to look past those things. Like some people are like understand the kid world, and we're presenting a family show.
Yes, 2 kids, 2 families.
Right. So it's like, who cares? If they don't get it, that's their problem, and it doesn't bother us. But it's for the most part, people are so welcoming to us. They put extra stuff in the green room for the kids. Like it's overall a really positive experience.
Oh, I really love that so much. And Gigi's starting to learn a little magic. I saw.
Yeah, she was opening up the show a little bit, doing some interactive stuff with the audience.
She got inspired by Slava's snow show, so we got to see Slava's show last year. And, it's like real traditional clowning. It's like the best in the world, and she really absorbed it. And it was cool, like, watching her try to find her own character. And now that we're not performing live, she just, I don't know, we got her a kit of, like, sewing felt plushies.
I have been loving her Instagram and the plushies she sewed. In fact, I told Josh that he should do a collab with her because he keeps designing characters, and I showed him some of Gigi's maker videos, and I'm like, you know what? You two should, like, team up.
It's a great idea, because now we're just,
And he's an amazing artist. If you guys don't know about Josh Gritman, oh my God.
Awesome.
He's on Instagram too, although we suck at updating it. We're so bad with updating it.
His artwork is incredible.
Yeah.
But and it's really cool, like, connecting for her to, like, watch his page, and it's inspiring to her. I love these little, like, mini connections they make at that age. It's
I love it. We have one question from the Twitter chat from Shruti. She wants to know, how are they truly differentiating themselves in these difficult COVID times? Because, of course, you are normally a touring magician giving a live show, and now you have had to transition.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Like, we were very lucky the first week we got home in March from our 2.5-month tour. We got to work with Make Magazine and camp stores, and they gave us kind of this free ground to kind of make mistakes. The first thing I did was try to do my stage show in front of a computer screen, and it bombed. It did not work, So you quickly learn how to connect with kids and families on this new medium, And what's beautiful is that it's totally not only possible, but it's like when you start getting in rhythm, it's powerful, where I was getting to do shows for people in Saudi Arabia. I would never get to do that, like where you're seeing all these screens and like you get the right moderator, we switch them up and we can like see them live. So it's been a fun adventure. I mean, it is sad for like Marcel. We're learning how to bring Marcel in a new way, but it is also this new evolution where I found a whole new show inside of me that I never knew existed. I never knew existed, this whole other show. And so that's something that's been exciting,
I love that so much. And people are really responding to it. You have a lot of fans in the comments. It's making me really happy. So Tim wants to know, what's the most difficult trick you've performed? Now, just to tell people a little bit about your act, it's very interesting. So from an audience perspective, it's a really fascinating mix of, there's a little bit of kind of vaudevillian, like almost like pretending that things got messed up. I know I've been in shows where something actually got messed up, but you can't tell because because you're very Buster Keaton. You've got that Buster Keaton type of, like, it's not slapstick, it's choreographed, but it's also got a genuineness to it. So there's that, and then it almost takes you by surprise when it's like you did something totally mind-blowing, where it's like, wait, how the hell did he do that? And so much of it is with robots and stuff that you've made yourself by hand that look very homespun. So just so people have a sense of this act, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna saw a lady in half. No, it's like cool stuff. But yeah, tell us about, some of the most difficult things to put together. Make happen.
People ask me, what do I do for a living? I say I build robots that fall apart on purpose to make kids laugh.
I love it. And it works.
So like the opening of my show, I have, 14 servo motors that reveal banners that fall, and like they all look glorious in a moment, and then they all start falling apart. And I just run around picking signs up and flags and spring snakes. And like, it's just, kids love seeing an adult make a fool of themselves, and I've kind of run with that using tech. And what the big thing is, the big circle of the whole show is it's trying to like introduce kids to 3D design, 3D printing, and animating what they're making, and there's all this accessible technology now for kids. You can get on tinkercad.com and start 3D designing. You can buy an Arduino kit and learn how to make motors move, you can get a 3D printer for like $200, you know, so it's like, how do I utilize this fascinating technology that's at our fingertips, that's accessible, and have fun with it, just have fun,
I remember you blew my mind with a drone thing. that you did at Roca.
That's a new trick.
And that was hard to put together.
Dangerous and sketchy thing I do. But it is one of my favorites where I have someone in the audience pick any card they want. I throw it in a hat, and I have a drone fly throughout the audience. I talk about Nikola Tesla and how he invented remote control, and it's kind of a science lesson. At the end, the drone goes into the hat and pulls out the selected card, and it's a beautiful moment. I'm not revealing the method yet.
No.
The magicians.
No.
It's a beautiful thing that fits in a little suitcase, and I can perform it in front of 3,000 people. It's a fun new routine, and I miss that routine. I can't do it now. But
Aww.
New routines. There's new routines now. Yeah.
There are. So I'm going to ask you both just a final question. I know we're at 12:30 here, but a final question for you, which is for someone who is trying to figure out their personal brand and they're not sure how to figure out what parts of themselves to show, what parts to hide, what's professional, all of that stuff. Now that you've been at this for over 15 years, how would you guide someone who's at the beginning of their personal branding journey?
The thing that I've realized is to, first of all, take the idea of professional and just throw it out the window entirely. Because I feel like with social media, that has really broken all of that down. And what people really want to get at is the truth. So explore what aspects of you are interesting. What do you love? Mario talks about it all the time. We love, VWs. We love that rat culture. We love all of these different things that don't necessarily have to do with what we do. But it pulls people in from all these different areas of the world who might not have been our audience otherwise. But they're like, oh, that's cool. I like vintage VWs too. I'm going to check this guy out. Whoa, his magic is awesome too. So don't think just about your one craft or one product or one business that you have, but think also about yourself and how can you reach more people.
That was beautiful. Thank you so very, very, very much to Katie Marchese and Mario Marchese. Where can they find you? Where should they find you?
MarioTheMagician.com is our main hub where you can find all of our social links. There's a link to the MarioShow.tv on there. That's the central place. So go there and find us and follow us everywhere.
Woo! And you won't regret it. They put on a fantastic show. And when you guys are out touring again, I highly encourage everyone everywhere to get out and see them. You will not regret it.
Thanks so much, Christine.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much to everyone who has joined us here today. Again, I'm Christine Gritman. I do the show every single Friday at noon Eastern where I talk about brand. So next Tuesday, the 29th, our topic is going to be branding and media. So how media and your personal brand can really feed into and strengthen each other. And that will lead into our Friday show, which is with my friend Ashley Graham, aka Your Brandista. And she runs Brandesso, Branding, and PR. So please do join me next week. I look forward to seeing you all. Thanks again to my guests, Mario and Katie, and thanks to you. Bye! Thanks for listening to Let's Talk About Brand, part of the Adweek Podcast Network and Acast Creator Network. This podcast was produced by Christine Gritman, executive produced by Al Manarino and John Heil, and edited by Christine Gritman. You can listen and subscribe to all of Adweek's podcasts by visiting adweek.com/podcasts. Stay updated on all things Adweek Podcast Network by following us on Twitter at Adweek Podcasts. And if you have a question or suggestion for the show, send us an email at podcast@adweek.com.